February 19, 1945. First light breaks across the Pacific, and more than 70,000 United States Marines sit shoulder to shoulder in pitching landing craft, staring at a jagged volcanic island rising from black sand beaches. Iwo Jima, just 660 miles from Tokyo, looks small on a map, but it hides a nightmare of tunnels, mines, and guns. In the next 36 days, these young Americans will fight one of the bloodiest battles in U.S. history, lose nearly 7,000 brothers, yet seize airfields that will save thousands of bomber crews and help finish the war. The story belongs to ordinary men who became legends. Ira Hayes, a quiet Pima from Arizona, and John "Doc" Bradley, a corpsman from Wisconsin. Their courage under fire created an image that still lifts the heart of every American who remembers the greatest generation. We begin with their hometowns, follow the long months of preparation, hit the black sand on D-Day, and build step by step to the moment 6 Marines raise the stars and stripes on Mount Suribachi, a payoff that still gives grown men chills. Stay with me until the end. This is the Battle of Iwo Jima, told straight from the American foxholes.
You know what gets me every single time? These weren't superheroes in comic books. They were our dads, uncles, and neighbors. Kids who left the farm or the factory because they believed America was worth fighting for.
And here's the part that still amazes me. Those 3 little airfields on Iwo Jima ended up saving more American lives than any other single objective in the Pacific. That's real strategy wrapped in raw courage.
World War II was already 3 years old when 2 young Americans from opposite corners of the country decided their place was with the Marines. Ira Hayes was born January 12, 1923, on the Gila River Indian Reservation near Sacaton, Arizona. The eldest of 6 in a Presbyterian Pima family, he grew up helping his World War I veteran father on their small farm and learned English so well he became the family translator. Pearl Harbor hit on December 7, 1941, and Ira told friends he had to go. He enlisted August 26, 1942, earned paratrooper wings, fought on Bougainville with a Browning automatic rifle, and by 1944 joined Easy Company, 2nd Battalion, 28th Marines, in the brand new 5th Marine Division. Halfway across America in Appleton, Wisconsin, John Bradley arrived July 10, 1923, into a big Irish Catholic household. After high school graduation in 1941, he worked in the family funeral home, but the war pulled at him. On January 13, 1943, he joined the Navy, trained hard as a hospital corpsman, and asked to serve with the Fleet Marine Force. By spring 1944, he too landed in Easy Company. These 2 men, one from desert reservation land, one from Midwest factory towns, carried the same quiet determination that defined millions of Americans in 1945. Their shared unit would be handed the toughest job on Iwo Jima, seize the narrow neck of the island, and cut off Mount Suribachi on the very first day. Admiral Chester Nimitz would later call their courage uncommon valor, but that valor started long before the first shot, in hometowns that raised them right.
I love this part of the story because it shows America at its best. Native son and Midwest kid fighting side by side for the same flag. That unity is what won the war.
And think about it. These guys volunteered knowing full well the Pacific fighting was brutal. That choice still gives me goosebumps when I talk to families whose relatives served.
Once the Marianas were secured in summer 1944, American commanders named the Iwo Jima Operation Detachment. Lieutenant General Holland M. Howlin' Mad Smith, the father of modern amphibious warfare, took charge of the ground forces. He knew this 8-square-mile island would be different, and he was right. Japanese General Tadamichi Kuribayashi had spent months turning it into a honeycomb of caves and concrete bunkers, ordering his men to fight from cover instead of suicidal charges. Starting December 8, 1944, the Navy and Army Air Forces began the longest pre-invasion pounding of the Pacific War. Battleships fired thousands of heavy shells. Bombers dropped more than 6,000 tons of explosives. Yet the soft volcanic ash swallowed much of the blast, leaving many Japanese positions untouched. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th Marine Divisions trained day and night in Hawaii, practicing bunker clearing, flamethrower teams, and tank infantry coordination. Hayes and Bradley's 28th Marines rehearsed exactly how they would sprint across the island's narrow waist. On February 16th, the huge fleet, more than 500 ships, left Saipan. The Marines wrote final letters home, knowing the beaches would be murderous. General Smith had begged for 10 full days of shelling, but received only 3, because Okinawa was waiting. The stage was now set for the most iconic battle in Marine Corps history.
People today forget how much planning went into every single Marine landing. Smith's teams literally invented modern beach assaults, and Iwo Jima tested every lesson they had learned the hard way.
That shorter bombardment decision still sparks debate among historians, but the Marines adapted anyway. That flexibility is pure American fighting spirit.
At exactly 9 a.m. on February 19, 1945, the first assault waves of the 4th and 5th Marine Divisions hit the southeast beaches of Iwo Jima. Hayes and Bradley's 28th Regiment landed on Green Beach with one mission: race straight across the island's narrow neck and isolate Mount Suribachi. The moment their boots touched the sand, reality hit harder than any training. The beach was steep slopes of loose, black volcanic ash that sucked men and machines down like quicksand. Tanks bogged instantly. Mortars and hidden machine guns opened up the second the beaches filled with troops. Casualties on D-Day alone reached over 2,400. Still, the 28th Marines pushed forward, yard by yard, using grenades, flamethrowers, and sheer guts to silence pillbox after pillbox. By late afternoon, they had fought all the way across the island, a stunning tactical success on day 1. Doc Bradley ran through withering fire again and again to patch up wounded Marines, already showing the bravery that would earn him the Navy Cross. Ira Hayes poured accurate BAR fire on enemy positions, protecting his buddies as they inched inland. That first night, the Marines dug shallow holes in the ash under sporadic shelling. They had their foothold, but everyone knew the real fight for the high ground was only beginning. The cost was already heartbreaking, yet not a single Marine talked about quitting. The legend of Iwo Jima was being written in blood and courage on those black sands.
I always tell people, the first day on Iwo Jima was supposed to be the easy part. When you hear veterans say the sand was like walking in talcum powder mixed with death, you understand why this battle is still studied at Marine schools today.
And those corpsmen like Doc Bradley, they ran toward the gunfire while everyone else took cover. That's the kind of quiet heroism older Americans grew up respecting.
By the morning of February 23, 1945, D+4, the 28th Marines had Suribachi surrounded after days of grinding advances through caves and pillboxes. A small patrol from Easy Company, led by First Lieutenant Harold G. Schreier, climbed the steep slopes under light sniper fire. Their orders were simple: reach the top and raise a flag to signal the mountain was ours. Around 10:20 a.m., they scrambled over the crater rim, cleared a few remaining defenders in a quick firefight, and found a length of Japanese pipe among the wreckage. They tied on a small 54 by 28-inch American flag,
brought from the USS Missoula and hoisted it high. Cheers erupted from the beaches below. Ships blew horns. Marines wept openly. It was the first foreign flag ever to fly over Japanese soil. But Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Chandler Johnson wanted something bigger, visible across the whole island to lift spirits. He sent for a larger 96 by 54-inch flag from a nearby LST. A second group, including Sergeant Michael Strank, Corporal Harlon Block, Private First Class Franklin Sousley, Private First Class Ira Hayes, Private First Class Renee Gagnon. Later corrected identifications include PFC Harold Schultz and PFC Harold Keller in place of some earlier names, and others carried it up. Around 1 p.m., as they struggled to plant it in the wind on another pipe section, Associated Press photographer Joe Rosenthal snapped the frame that would become immortal. Marine cameraman Bill Janost filmed it too. No posing, just 6 men pushing the pole upright in raw effort. For Ira Hayes and Doc Bradley, who had helped secure the first flag earlier, this moment captured their unit's unbreakable bond. The photo hit American newspapers days later, boosting war bond sales and morale back home like nothing else. Yet on the island, the fight raged on. The flag was a beacon, not the end.
That second flag going up wasn't planned for cameras. It was practical. But Rosenthal caught something timeless. Americans refusing to quit, even when the job looked impossible. That's why it still hits so hard for folks who remember the war years.
And remember, 3 of those 6 men, Strank, Block, and Sousley, never made it off Iwo. Their sacrifice turned a simple act into eternal American pride.
With Suribachi secured, attention turned north to the island's heart, the 2 main airfields and Kuribayashi's tunnel network in the rugged plateau. From late February into March, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Marine Divisions fought yard by yard against hidden machine guns, mortars, and artillery zeroed on every approach. Japanese defenders rarely counterattacked in open banzai style. Instead, they held fortified positions until overrun, then sealed caves with flamethrowers and demolitions. Easy Company's men, including Hayes and Bradley, pushed through bloody fights around Airfield No. 1, secured by D+1, and then Airfield No. 2, taken March 4. Casualties mounted daily, snipers in rocky outcrops, mines under ash, booby-trapped positions. By March 1st, Strank and Block were killed by shellfire and mortars. Sousley fell to a sniper on March 21st. Doc Bradley, wounded earlier but staying in the fight, treated dozens under fire. On March 4, a damaged B-29 Dynamite made the first emergency landing on captured Airfield No. 1, proof the sacrifice was saving lives already. Marines cleared pockets relentlessly, often sealing caves with satchel charges. The cost was staggering, over 26,000 American casualties total, including nearly 7,000 dead. Yet the drive continued, fueled by the memory of that flag on Suribachi.
The flag gave a quick morale boost, but the real battle was this slog north, cave by cave, ridge by ridge. It showed why Iwo became the bloodiest fight for the Corps in the Pacific.
Those airfields saved over 2,400 B-29 crews later in the war. Every Marine who pushed forward knew the stakes, and they paid the price without hesitation.
March 26, 1945. After 36 days of hell on black volcanic sand, Iwo Jima was at last declared secure. The final Japanese resistance, a nighttime banzai charge of several hundred men, was met and broken by exhausted but unyielding Marines. Of the 21,000 Japanese who defended the island under General Kuribayashi's Iron Command, only about 216 were taken prisoner. For the United States, the toll was the heaviest of any single battle in the Pacific. 6,821 killed, more than 19,000 wounded. It remains the only major Pacific engagement where American casualties exceeded the enemy's. But those terrible numbers bought something priceless. The 3 airfields became emergency havens for crippled B-29s.
By war's end, more than 2,400 American airmen owed their lives to safe landings on Iwo instead of the deep Pacific. P-51 Mustangs took off from those runways to escort bombers deep into Japan, helping bring the war to its knees. The men who paid the price carried the memory forever. Ira Hayes returned home a quiet hero who never sought the spotlight, battled his demons, and left us far too soon in 1955. Doc Bradley lived a long life of dignity, raising children and sharing stories only when asked. 3 of the 6 flag raisers, Michael Strank, Harlon Block, and Franklin Sousley, never left the island. Their sacrifice, along with every Marine who climbed those slopes, turned a fleeting photograph into an eternal symbol. Joe Rosenthal's image, captured in one unplanned, unposed instant, raised billions for war bonds, graced postage stamps, newspapers, and posters, and inspired the Marine Corps War Memorial that stands in Arlington today. That bronze statue isn't just metal and stone. It's a promise kept by a generation that refused to quit. Iwo Jima wasn't about glory or headlines. It was about ordinary Americans, sons of reservations, small-town main streets, factories, and farms, standing together when the odds were impossible. Their uncommon valor became a common virtue, the foundation of the peace and freedom we still enjoy. If this story touched you the way it touches so many of us who remember the greatest generation, please hit that like button. It really helps these real history stories reach more people. Drop a comment below. Did you have a family member who served in the Pacific? Which battle should I cover next? Normandy, Midway, Okinawa? I read every one. And if you want more stories like this, told straight, no fluff, from the American foxholes, subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss one. Share this video with a friend or family member who needs to remember what courage looks like. Thank you for watching to the end. God bless those who fought, and God bless America.